welcome to my channel where I like to share with you all of my knitting adventures. Normally I do the typical knitting podcast thing where I share with you my makes and whips and all of that good stuff. But what I'm doing today is a little bit different. This is part 2 of a 2-part series where I'm sharing with you how Knit Picks yarns have held up over time. I am a huge Knit Picks fan and I have used lots of different bases of theirs over the years. So I'll show you how those, how those lines have held up over time. I will not be going into detail about the garments. I'm not going to be modeling the garments. I'm just showing you how the fabric made from these yarn lines is behaving, how it's held up over time. That's really all this is. So like I said, I love Knit Picks and most of these yarns I'm really pleased with, but at the end of this video, I do have a few yarns that I would not work with, again, for garment making. Yeah, so hang in there if you want to see which ones I don't really recommend for garments. Again, I have other uses, but for garments. Let's see. I also want to warn you that there are a lot of ums and uhs in this video. I'm actually recording this in post, so adding a little intro on. And yeah, just want you to know there's a lot of those little filler words in here, and I know some people are extremely bothered by those. I'm very sorry if that's you, and if that is you, I recommend you just click away. Don't watch this one. You don't need to suffer. But for those of you who are not bothered by ums and uhs, hopefully you will find some helpful information in here. So without further ado, I will turn it over to my previous day's self. Next up, Simply Wool Erin. I always wonder if I'm saying that word right, Erin. Okay, so this is a 100% Simply Wool yarn, and in Erin weight, as you might gather. I've used this in a few different projects. I forgot to look up what these are called. They're these really cute little booties, and I used Simply Wool in 3 different colors for this part and the bottom, and you can probably see the problem that I do recommend this yarn on the whole. Like, I feel like this part looks excellent for being back from 2018. So these were made in 2018. I definitely wore them hard for a couple of seasons, but I did wear them through. So I'm not really sure why, because I used the recommended yarn, I believe, for this, because I happen to have it. And I'm not sure why she recommends using Simply Wool for the bottoms of these, because it has no nylon content. It is 100% wool. And so it wears out. And actually I can see I have patched these. So they need to, but I've worn through my patches, so they need to be patched again. And I need to put them in my bag of things to work on this summer. So the yarn as a garment, I think would do really well, but don't use them for the soles of your feet. I do have an actual garment made with Simply Wool, and that is the Ellery cardigan. This is a Knit Picks pattern as well as a Knit Picks wool. And it looks pretty good. I see a little bit of pilling along the side here, like the arm. You see that? But generally speaking, I feel like it looks pretty good. Oh, there's some pilling in my typical side boob problem area. And then I do see a little bit back here on the back. So this one definitely could use some cleanup. But this is another one that if you watch my knits I need to do something about, this will probably come up in that one. So yeah, I would use that again. but for not soles of feet. And did I say when the Ellery was from? That's from 2022. It has not been worn a ton because I have some issues with it. But it has, you know, it has been worn a few times. Next up, we have one that I have worn an absolute ton, and that is my Eldfell, which is made with Wonderfluff. Sorry, it's so wrinkly. It's been in the closet, crumpled. So Wonderfluff is an extremely fluffy alpaca blown yarn. So there is some sort of synthetic content to it that creates the tube that it's blown into, but because it's a blown yarn, it is super, super light. Airy, fluffy. See, quite a few fluff balls there. Yeah, so I love this sweater. Sorry, I just lost my place in my notes. I love this sweater. I have worn it a lot. So anytime it gets super cold, this is one of the ones that I will go for. I will wear it at home, wear it to work. I love this one. No complaints. I have de-pilled it in the past, and it definitely needs to be de-pilled again before it gets put up. Packed away, like, see if you can see there. I can see a lot of pills there. And this is not, because of the yarn construction, it's not the easiest to de-pill. Like, they really want to, it really feels like they're part of the, you know, the wool. But I love this one. I've made quite a few things in that. I have a blanket made out of that as well, and I love that blanket. It's super, super, super light without being heavy at all. So when you're just wanting like a top insulating layer, it is excellent for that. And I feel like it's held up quite well for being such a soft yarn. So that Eldfell is from 2021. So we're going on this is 4 years. It has been in rotation, and it has been worn heavily. Okay, next up, another 2021 make, and that is made out of Twill Worsted. So I showed you the rib wave was made with twill fingering weight. This is made with the worsted weight, and this is a campfire pullover. Sorry, the neck is flopping. This was for my husband, so this is a really large make, and twill is a very soft yarn, and I think you can see what happens when you have a very soft yarn. So I'm not sure if you guys can see on the camera, but this one, like, is, I feel, very bobbly. Like, this is one that bothers me. It looks kind of old and ratty when I see this. And that makes me sad because this took me a really long time, and I feel like it should look better than this after just 4 years. But like I said, my husband does wear his knits a ton. Like, he doesn't wear this one more than the others, but this one, just because it's softer, it starts looking worse faster. And I wonder if the darker colors are also more apt to look worse faster. So would I use it again? Yes. Would I use it for him? No. I would make myself something with it, but it's really heavy. So I don't know that I would make myself something with it. I will make something with twill. I have a sweater's quantity of twill fingering. Sorry, this is twill. This is worsted. I do not have another sweater's quantity of the worsted, but I will go ahead and use my fingering weight. But I would not try to buy another sweater's quantity of that. Because it's just so heavy, especially for him, where it is large, because he's tall and big, and So like his sweaters are going to be big and they're going to pull on those seams. And so I definitely wouldn't make it out of a yarn as heavy as this that's not more structured, because this is not a seamed sweater. And so it just droops and pulls. Yeah, more, you would do better. I would do better. I will do better in the future, but I did not know that then. I was just so excited to find him this really soft yarn in purple. Is his favorite color, in purple, and I thought it was just going to be great, and it's been kind of disappointing, sadly. Okay, next up. This is a special offering yarn from Knit Picks. This is their Upcycle Reserve. They had both worsted and sport weight of this, and like it came out as a special yarn during a big sale, maybe 2022 big sale or something. I feel like it was even further back than that. Maybe 2021, maybe it was 2022. Anyway, they came out with all of these colors. It was, released during the big sale. I bought a bunch of it then, and we all thought it was just going to be, come and gone really quickly, like most of their Upcycle Reserve stuff. That's just sort of a one-off. They were, it's not meant to be an ongoing line that they're offering, but this stuff has stuck around for so long. So this is definitely still fabric that you can get your hands on, this is yarn that you can get your hands on. So this is my husband's Marshland. And this is from 2023. I mean, it looks good, I feel like, just looking at it, but it does have some pretty significant pilling. Oh, here we go. Maybe you can see that. Like significant pilling. Oh, I feel like it's not showing up on the camera. Like I am just looking down the side. There we go. And I can just see so many like clumps, absolute clumps of yarn hanging off of this. Yeah. But outside of the arms, I feel like it looks pretty good. To me, this one looks much better than the Twill, even though I think he's worn this one just as much or more. This is stranded, so it's really warm. This is also alpaca and wool and maybe acrylic. Oh, look at that. Like I said, absolutely giant balls hanging off of this one. It really needs to be depilled. I also made my own sweater in this. This is the Throwback by Andrea Mowry. And I believe that I have depilled mine as well, but it's still got some little bit of pilling under the arms, but on the whole, I think it looks pretty good. I think mine is younger than his. I didn't look up what year mine was made, but I think mine's only a couple of years old. Okay, so that's Upcycle Reserve worsted. I would work with that again. Especially, I definitely will finish off what I have of that. I would not pay sometimes, like I think they have that yarn marked regularly at like $10, but when it came out during the big sale, like I want to say it was $3 or $5. Maybe it was on sale for $5, but then it was part of 135 day or something. I mean, I got a huge quantity of it and different colors for color work because of the price that it was, and they have really hiked up the price on that, and I wouldn't buy it for that. But okay, I guess this one is the next one. So this is my Low Tide Knit in Stroll, which is one of their big sock offerings. Not really meant for garments, but it's super soft, super drapey, And I really can't speak to how this has held up because I just finished this I just finished this in like late winter, early spring, 2025. So I've only worn it a couple of times, and so far, so good, no pilling, but I can't say how it will hold up long term. I do expect to see some significant pilling on this because my Stroll socks pill quite a bit. So, and this is knit at a little bit looser gauge than socks are. But I think, I mean, it looks really good. It definitely feels really good. And because, like I mentioned before, like Stroll is a pretty limp sock yarn, you get really good drape, even though it's wool and not a particularly drapey fiber. All right, now we have High Desert Sport. I have said before, this is my desert island yarn. If I could just knit with one thing only for the rest of my life, this is what I would choose. It just feels so nice in the hand. It is very soft, next to skin soft, which the Stroll absolutely is as well. I didn't say that about it, but because it is soft, there is some pilling on this. Like, I don't think it's not gonna show for you. Maybe you can see a little bit there where the black and the white is happening. But on the whole, I feel like it's held up really well. I don't think that I have depilled this one. It keeps looking like I think that's like black, some of the black fuzz is on it or something. It keeps looking on the screen like there's like black marks there, but I don't see them in real life. This one's kind of like the Twill in that it looks kind of generally fuzzy when I look down at it. But when I look at it head on, I don't necessarily see a lot of pilling. This was made in, I did not put a year. I want to say this one's from 2023. It's at least 2 years old. So I feel like it's holding up pretty well. Would I consider this a summer yarn, as I have made myself a short-sleeved top with it? No, definitely not. It is a wool. It's 100% wool. There's no anything else in this. But because I work in air conditioning, I am able to wear this indoors in the later fall, in the spring. And I mean, I could wear it in the winter if I wanted to, but usually it's a little bit too chilly for that. But yeah, I'm not sure why I went short sleeved on this. It might have been like the amount of yarn I had or something. But I love High Desert. I definitely have some High Desert like full length sweaters planned. Looking forward to that. Okay, I am going to pause the video because my pile has fallen over. Yeah, so I'll be back in just a second. All right, I'm back. And I have a treat to show you. I dug out my oldest pair of Stroll socks. So here they are. This was my very first pair of socks I ever knit. They are made with Stroll hand paint, and you can probably tell they are quite pilly. But you know what? I absolutely do not care. I am not one of those people who depills my socks. They're in my shoes, on my feet. I don't care if they have pills. So these are from, I did not go look these up, but I want to say probably 2015, maybe a little earlier. I'm not sure how far into my knitting journey when it was I started knitting socks, but do remember this is my very first pair. I knit them using Silver Sock Class on DPNs. I don't use DPNs, haven't used DPNs in years for making socks, but yeah, these were my very first pair and I love them. I still wear them. They're great. And this is also one of my pairs of Hawthorne socks that is also quite old. This is definitely from 2015, 2016 at the latest. And so they are still, they look nice on, you can't tell, but the Hawthorne just makes a much thicker sock than Stroll. And Hawthorne does fade though. So I will say the beautiful kettle dyed colors, you do lose some of those over time, at least if you wash them in the washing machine and put them in the dryer, which I do with my socks. Like that's the whole point of using Easy Care sock yarn, is so that you can easy care it. So yeah, so those have been worn and washed for more than 10 years and still look fine and are very serviceable as socks. All right, so back to our sweaters. We have City Tweed DK here. And I guess this is the only sweater I have in this. I love this yarn. I like the DK weight. They have an Aran weight version of this, which actually they may be discontinuing that because it's been on super sale recently. The Aran weight would just be too warm for me because this is one of my warmest sweaters. This is Cinder pullover by Jessica McDaniel. And it's color work, so that stranding in there just makes everything super warm. I love how City Tweed feels. It feels, this sounds really weird, but it feels greasy to me, but in a very pleasant way. I don't know. I think it's the alpaca content that feels that way to me, because that's when I normally feel it, is when I'm working with alpaca yarn. City Tweed, I do get pilling with it though, so you can see there's a big pill that needs to be picked off. My problem area down the side has some small pills, but on the whole, I feel like this one has held up very well because this is one of my older sweaters. This is from 2020. It is knit at a pretty firm gauge, which I'm sure helps as well, but I love the sweater. Love, love, love it. Like I said, it's one of my warmest ones, so I put this on when it's cold. Because of the alpaca content, I think it has stretched out a fair amount. Like I'm thinking about maybe going in and putting in some elastic around the top there to see if I can pull that in a little bit. But I love this yarn. Absolutely would work with it again. Will work with it again. I have a sweater's quantity of it that I will be doing something with at some point. So highly recommend that one. One of my favorites. Another favorite, which I think they have discontinued this one, very sad, and that is Journey Tweed. So the contrast color in this is Spin Cycle, which you can see lots of people talking about Spin Cycle, but the main color is Journey Tweed Bear, and it is a combination of fibers. It has I think wool, alpaca, and definitely it has some silk. It has silk content. And it is so nice. It is next to skin soft and it has excellent drape. And really, like, this is one of my newer sweaters. So I made this in 2024, in the spring of 2024. So it's only gotten like a season and a half of wear, but it is one of my favorites. And so it has gotten a fair bit of wear during that time. It's another one that is pretty lightweight. It is a sport or DK, probably sport, since it was combined with Spin Cycle dyed in the wool. So the lightness makes it easy, easier to wear for me. And I don't know, it's probably because of the tweedy bits in this, but I feel like that hides the baubles when there's a tweed, and I like tweed. I know tweed is divisive. Some people hate it. I have a kid who hates it and like just wants to pick all of the tweeds off, but I like tweed and I think it disguises the baubles, but I really didn't see significant pilling on that. So highly recommend that if you come across any in a D stash, or maybe Knitpicks will bring it back. Maybe they will hear my plea and bring that back. Okay. Provincial Tweed is next up. So Provincial Tweed is this main color. This is Stowaway by Wool and Pine Designs. It has this cute color work motif and the kangaroo pocket. But this is a combination of different yarns. I got Stroll, I got some of the Provincial Tweed in there, and then actually I have leftovers from the sweater in there. But I'm talking to you about the Provincial Tweed, which is a worsted weight tweedy yarn. I did not look up the makeup of this. It's wool. Oh, I think it's superwash. I think it's got to be superwash because it's very drapey. It's kind of, I mean, maybe even limp, I would say. I guess if you're not saying it nicely. If you're saying it nicely, you would say it's drapey. If you don't like it, then you would say it's limp. I do like it. It's super soft, super drapey. I've been worried about how it's going to hold up to these pretty heavy colorwork sleeves, but it's been hanging in there doing okay. And it's so soft. I love this. I said this before recently, but when I made this, wasn't really sure how much I was going to enjoy wearing this, how much wear I would get out of it, because I was like, it's too casual for me to wear to work, so what am I going to do with it? But I ended up wearing it all the time on the weekends throughout the late fall, winter, early spring. So this has turned into the sweater that I didn't know I needed, and I am super excited to work with the new Provincial Tweed I have gotten since I worked with this. Once again, like it looks a little nubbly, but it's tweed, and so I think, yeah, there are some, I think these are pills on here, but you can't really, it's hard for your eye to distinguish them amongst the tweeds. So tweeds cover over a lot of sins, which maybe that's why I like tweed. Anyway, so highly recommend that one. It feels so good on the skin. I can wear that next to skin, no problems at all. Okay, and then we have, this is one that since Knitpicks was, I believe they were purchased by the company that owns Barocco, or the same parent company owns them both, or their parent company carries Barocco, so now Knitpicks also carries Barocco. But all that to say, this yarn is called Knitpicks Caterpillar, but it was originally a Barocco branded yarn that was just rebranded as Knitpicks during the big sale. We first saw it in the big sale a couple of years ago, and it is a wool cotton blend in a, like, I think it's a blown yarn format. So like there's a tube, and then, you know, yarn is blown into, or fiber is blown into it, like the like Wonderfluff, only this is half cotton, half wool. And this is my zipper sweater light, which I just finished this past year I think I finished this in like February 2025. And I love it. I wore this one like my Stowaway. I didn't know I needed a really comfy bumming around the house on the weekend sweater, and this one became one of those for me. So even though it's pretty new, I did want to show how it's wearing, because it did get a fair amount of wear, and it was harder wear too, you know, because like when you're doing stuff around the house, I'm probably harder on my clothes than when I'm in the office. But yeah, like, I feel like it looks fine. I mean, there's nothing for me to clean up on this one yet. This one has had its bath, and I will not be depilling it before I pack it away. I think it looks great. And I have another sweater, my drizzle cardigan, that I made from another colorway of this. last year. And so it's been like a year, and no, it's had two full seasons in rotation, and it looks fine as well. So this yarn is pretty hard wearing. It has a texture to it. It's not rough. It's next to skin soft. I can wear it next to my skin, no problem. It's not silky feeling though, like the Provincial Tweed is. So it's a different kind of softness. It's probably the cotton in there that just feels a little different to me. Okay, and then we have Galileo. So this is one of Knit Picks' blends that I think is supposed to be maybe more like warm weather appropriate. It is wool and bamboo. And I feel like this one has held up pretty well. So this, I originally made a different tee out of this and then unraveled it and turned it into this summer snow tee, which I did a test for. I have a video about this one from earlier in the spring. And yeah, I feel like it looks really good. As what it is, the bobbles maybe look a little bit fuzzy, but not bad. There's nothing for me to depill at this point. And yeah, this is super drapey. Kind of, it's heavier for, you know, the amount of yarn that's in there, I think. Heavier than I would expect from a wool. I guess that's the bamboo. So it might stretch longer as it, you know, goes. It is super soft, not at all a problem to wear next to skin. So I like that. I do like Galileo is shiny. I'm not sure if you can tell that. Like it definitely has a sheen to me, which I've discovered is just something that I have to be very particular about what garment I'm making, because I've just discovered that I don't really like shiny in a lot of things. I feel like it works well for this one, for this lace piece, but I wouldn't use it in just everything. Okay, next up, another one that this is the only thing I've ever made in this. This is a new yarn. This is Ewe Billy, spelled E-W-E, like the sheep. This is Arctic Light, and I feel like I really can't say how this one's gonna hold up long term because I just finished it in February of 2025. But this is the problem area. I don't see any pilling in there. There's a little, I do see one bobble right there. But on the whole, not bad. So this is a blend of, I don't know the percentages, but wool and mohair. And so once again, mohair may come in to the rescue here to keep this from pilling. I don't know. There is not as much of a halo with Ewe Billy as you would get with a holding aloft along with something else, but there is a softness to it. Like it softens the yarn to the eye. Yeah, but I can't say on longevity. I did enjoy working with it, no complaints there. So we'll see, TBD on how that holds up. And then finally, before we get into my, I will never knit with these again, this is Brava. This is Brava Tweed, I think. This is one of their tweeds. So they came out with Brava Tweed. And I think this was actually like an oopsie color. Like not one of their regular lineup, but I thought it was really pretty. It was called like Oriole or something like that, like some bird name. So I made the Billy pullover out of it. I kind of just wanted to see what Brava was like knit up in a garment. I can't say it was my favorite to work with. It's, you know, definitely acrylic, so can you hear it? It's got that acrylic feel for sure, but I am able to wear it with no problem. It's not as soft to me as wool would be, but it's also not gonna it's not gonna prickle my skin when my skin gets hot. When it's too hot to wear wool, like that's not gonna be an issue here. I don't find myself overly sweaty or anything like that in it. So, you know, for being a $15 sweater, I think it looks pretty nice. And no complaints about how it's held up. I have not done any kind of pilling work on this. I have washed and dried this in the machine, and it's holding up nicely. I think it looks nice. So yeah. Is it my favorite to work with? No. Would I work with it again if I needed to, or to use up what I already have? Yes, absolutely. And I would recommend it if you can't use wool or you're knitting on a budget. I think it's a really great option. And they have some, I love the tweeds. I think the tweeds look nicer than just the flat colors. So I think you can make some really nice looking garments out of those, the Brava Tweeds. All right, next up is another yarn that is 100% alpaca, and that is Andean Treasure, which is a DK yarn. I made the field sweater out of Andean Treasure. This yarn is super, super soft, so it is probably not surprising that there is some pilling in the armpit area and down in my problem area along the bust. This line that you might be able to see here is where I had this hanging over a coat hanger, and not a defect in the yarn. So that's not the yarn's fault. It just needs a little steaming to get that out. Overall, I feel like this is holding up pretty well. Since it's alpaca, it has quite a bit of halo on its own, and not much pilling outside of the underarm area. So definitely some pills there, and it needs a little depilling, but not bad overall. Now, I will say that this piece has not been worn a whole lot. I don't know what I was thinking making this a short sleeve top. I suspect that it was a yarn constraint issue, that I didn't have enough to go long sleeves. And yeah, the Andean Treasure, like I said, 100% alpaca, and it is quite warm. So I have a pretty limited couple of months where I can wear this. Pretty much in the late winter, early spring is when I can wear this, when it's cool enough outside. And then there's also the office that I'm in is cool and air conditioned. So yeah, there's really not a lot of time for me to wear this one, and therefore it just has not been worn a whole lot. I don't think I told you what year this was from. This was finished in summer 2023 when the pattern dropped. This was one that I just waited. I was so wild to make this pattern after watching it on Instagram. Yeah, so it's been worn for a couple of years, but like I said, pretty infrequently. So not a lot of wear, but it's holding up okay. I would definitely use this yarn again, just not for a short sleeved tee. Don't be me. Don't limit yourself to a couple of months a year when you can wear something. Yeah, so Andean Treasure, highly recommend. I think it's holding in there really well. Has great drape, great fuzz, such a romantic yarn, and it's so soft. So Andean Treasure. Okay, so now we've moved on to my I would not buy this again. I did not, I'm not happy with how these fibers have held up. And so these are not ones that I recommend for garments, at least. I'm sure there are other uses for these, and I know some of these yarns have big fans, but I'm not one of them. So First up is one of those one-off yarns. This was from 2020, so you probably will never see this unless you are shopping somebody's D-stash, but this is Upcycle Reserve 100% wool. And like I said, this came out in 2020 during their big sale. So I was very excited because I was like, 100% wool, that's awesome. And it was probably like $3 or $5 for a 100-gram ball. And so like that seemed like an excellent deal, and it was, but this stuff has just pilled so horrifically. I don't think that it's going to show up for you, but you are just gonna have to trust me that we have very visible bobbles all the way down this quite long cardigan. So this is a really neat cardigan. It's called the cable stayed cardigan. It has these really neat cables and this like reverse stockinette texture that makes them pop. And I think the reverse stockinette, I feel like, is showing where, like, you know, you can see the pills on top of it. You can see the pills. Oh my goodness, look at that. It looks so bad along the thing. And this one I have depilled. Like every single time I wear this, I depill it because I just can't stand to wear it outside of the house with it being so pilly. Can you see that down there? Oh, so pilly. Now on the pro side, this yarn is really soft. It feels nice. It is very warm. I enjoyed working with it a lot. I just do not enjoy how it has pilled so bad. And yeah, so I would not purchase that again. I would not, I think I still may have some of this in a heavier weight that I got from somebody's D-stash, and I was wanting to felt that. So I'm hoping with felting, like the pilling issue will not be a big problem. But that was one I was disappointed with. All right, next up we have Gloss DK. Now this is one that I know other people like a lot, and maybe it's probably fine for other accessories. I'm not much of a shawl knitter. I'm definitely not a shawl wearer, and that may be where gloss belongs, and so maybe that's why I don't like it. But yeah, this is my entomologist sweater made in Gloss DK, and you can definitely see that. So it's so pilly. It looks gross. Now I have not depilled this one in a while because this is one of those, this is a sweater that I haven't worn in several years. So let's see. I originally made this in 2018. So this is one of the earlier garments that I made. And I did wear it. But as I got more garments, like I became less happy with the fit, like the neckline is really too big. I mean, I'm not getting into all the reasons why I don't like a particular garment today, but one of the things that really bugs me about it is, yes, just how ratty it started looking almost immediately. So maybe it's just my lifestyle. Maybe I'm just too hard on my clothes, but this just looks so worn, and for not having been actually worn all that many times, it is not a yarn that I would use again. The gloss also has a sheen to it. So if I make that other video about, you know, knitting fails, I will show my Camaro sweater, and I used Gloss DK in that one and don't like how it looks because of the shininess of the fabric. So like that's another thing that puts me off of this. Now, I think it's like it's supposed to look that way. It is supposed to be shiny. I mean, it's Gloss DK. Like it's in the name of the yarn line. I think it has silk in it, and I think that's what makes it shiny, but I just don't like that in my clothes, apparently. Again, this is maybe why it's good for accessories like shawls. But yeah, I hate how this one has pilled up. It is not suitable for garments that you are going to be wearing, that are going to be seeing friction, in my humble opinion. And then finally, the yarn that broke my heart, the yarn that feels so nice, but I will never, ever, ever buy it again. And that is Capretta. So this is probably also in, this is probably a me problem. It is in the nature of this fiber. Sorry, I did not look up the makeup of this, but this is a blend that has cashmere in it. And it is the pilliest stuff that has ever existed. Look at that. Look at that. And it's just all over. And because of the nature of this cardigan with the really bright stripes, like you can just see all of those gray baubles everywhere. But I mean, it's bad even just on the gray. Ugh, look at it. It looks so bad. I hate that so much. It just bothers me. All of those pills. I just want to sit and pick them off. So yeah, this is Knit Picks Capretta. It is a superwash yarn. And it is so soft. It is so soft, kitteny soft. I feel like the Wonderfluff, the Wonderfluff is as soft, but it's a different kind of soft. Like this is a finer gauge soft. So I see why people like the feel of it, but I cannot handle this because this is not the pills of a garment that has never seen a deep pillar. I have gleaned this literally every time I've worn it. Like it looks this way because it was in my closet. The closet did this, sitting in the closet with other stuff on top of it. And I just don't have time for that in my life. I don't have space for the anxiety that these pills cause me. Also my yarn bled, if you can see that, this orange bled onto my gray, which was another thing. But yeah, so this is a strictly, I've just accepted that I'm not going to wear this in public. I also learned some stuff about choosing my size. Again, if I ever make that knitting fails, like this will probably be one of them. But this is an around the house cardigan and it's nice for that. And I've just accepted that I'm not going to look at it. So that the pills won't bother me, but I will never, ever buy or probably even, I don't know if I have any of that left bouncing around. I know I don't have a sweater's quantity of it, but I will never buy it again. I'm sure it's fine for for accessories, which is, probably what it's intended. Like if you wanted to make one of those little teeny tiny neck scarves with it, it would probably be fine for that. You would probably still have to depill it, but it would not get as much, it wouldn't have as much friction, but it is heartbreak to use it in a garment, at least if you don't like pills. Okay, so we have finally come to the end of my massive pile of garments. I promise you, I have actually not showed you everything. Those were just the different fiber types. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will put links to all of my projects in the whatever that's called, the box at the bottom of this, so that you can click on those and go in and look, for more information about the pattern or the yarn that I used. If you have any questions about specific projects, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer questions. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you stuck around to the bitter end, thank you so much. I hope to be back in a couple of weeks with a regular podcast episode. See ya.